football starts right now.
Hello and welcome to the Halftime Report here on the Barroom Network. This is Bear Football. John Buffone alongside Aldo Gandia. The Chicago Bears leading the Green Bay Packers at halftime by a score of 27-21. Doesn't matter how they got it. They got it. They're up by 6. Justin Fields currently 9 of 16 for 150 yards, 2 touchdown passes, and a bad pick 6. But some explosive plays out of the Chicago Bears. People coaching like they don't care because they might think they're out of town. So I would like to see some of that attitude a little more often. But Aldo, takeaways from this game, because it's been an emotional roller coaster so far.
Yeah. Well, everybody that said that Justin Fields shouldn't play this game, I think you've been proven wrong. And he needed this experience. And yeah, we don't want to see him throw an interception. We don't want to continue to see the long loopy throw. Those are things that have to be corrected. But that is what you get playing time for. Identify what the mistakes are and go back and work on them. This is a great experience for this young man, playing at Lambeau Field, going into halftime with the lead, going out there now for the second half and protect that lead and take advantage and build on that lead. Let's stop the Packers on the first series and then score more points. And like you said, John, look for more explosive plays. Those plays are in the playbook, but for some reason, Bill Lazor and Matt Nagy have been reluctant to use those plays because they want to slowly bring their quarterback along, and that may not be the right recipe. Now, running the ball is always the Bears' number one weapon. That is their identity, but they've got to take advantage of the fact that teams are now playing the run against them and go after these big play offensive schemes that they have in that playbook. And finally, we're getting some return on investment from guys like Damiere Byrd.
Yeah, we're finally using the speed, which they invested so much into. Let's bring in all these 4-3 guys. Let's bring in Grant. Let's bring in Byrd because they're speed. Well, this is what you bring them in for. Unfortunately, it took 14 weeks to figure that out, but nonetheless, it's coming in at a good time. And out of necessity, Tevin Jenkins put into the lineup because Peters had to leave. Aldo, I know that we've both been talking about getting Jenkins in, hopefully even in a rotation role, but depending on how bad the injury is to Peters, Tevin Jenkins could be in that starting role, could be a full-time left tackle. What'd you see out of him so far? I saw some nastiness there. He did pick up a pre-snap penalty, got pushed back on one or two plays, but did show a little bit of a mean streak. What'd you see?
Yeah, on his first or second snap, he was waving a little bit, and he could have been called for an offsides. He then was called for that infraction, a little bit more amplified offsides action by him. And so he looked a little, taken by surprise to be in there after having a press conference where he said, I'm fine being behind Jason Peters and learning from the guy. But he got in there and he has looked aggressive. That's like you said, the big reason the Bears sought him out is because he's got that mean streak. And so we want to see more of that develop. But most of all, you want to see good technique by this young man. He hasn't played a lot at the left tackle position in his career at the collegiate level. And of course, now his first game with the Chicago Bears. So you want to see him have that technique and play well and protect Justin Fields' backside. But it's encouraging. I frankly was very, very nervous when he went out there just because of the lack of reps that he's been getting with the ones and just all season because of the injuries that he's faced. But so far, he's done well.
And so far throughout this game, now we got a whole other half to go, but throughout this game, this was kind of going a shot for shot with Green Bay, because whenever the Bears go up 10, you're like, that's great. You knew Green Bay was going to answer at some point. They did. They put the pressure on Chicago. They get an explosive play. They make more plays, and now they're up going into halftime. Green Bay gets the ball in the second half. probably not a good time to lay off the gas if you're on the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball. We see Robert Quinn playing like a man possessed, but we also see Crawford getting taken into the locker room before the end of the half. The secondary is beaten up, and you know what? It could be a long half for them, so they're going to need more points out of this offense. I don't know how many, but you got to think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be picking apart that secondary if they don't get more pressure on, which is why, and maybe I'm wrong, but this is just my mentality, if you know you got kind of a beat-up secondary, start throwing the house at Rodgers. Start going at him. Start going after him. Put the pressure on his ass the entire second half and make him beat you by scrambling around and making plays up in the dirt or whatever. Set them loose and try to get after him because the secondary might be beaten up and may not be able to hold him for the duration of the second half.
Mm-hmm. Boy, I'm really happy to announce that we have got a lot of Green Bay Packers fans in the chat room. Welcome all to the bar room. Get up to the bar, order yourself a drink, and drink yourself silly. You might not be so happy at the end of the game if the Bears can hold on and pull this off. And it would be great for Bears fans to experience this win at Green Bay. It's been a long time coming, as Roger said. And rightfully so. He owns the Chicago Bears, but perhaps the Bears can start to send a message now that ownership is going to expire soon, and we really need that. And as for what you were saying, John, about going after Rodgers, I'm always very, very cautious when you're blitzing these great quarterbacks because they love to see the blitz. The guy's blitzing that way, and guess what? The ball's going to go that way because that's the empty area that defender left. So he's very good at that. What Sean Desai said about that is that it's a chess match. He's seen everything, and so he's got to try to outguess what's going on, and the players have to execute whatever the play is that's called. So let's hope that happens. But I am worried about this defensive backfield. That's one of Aaron Rodgers' many strengths, is that he looks at who's out there on the football field and says, I'm going to go pick on that young guy there. And Crawford was a victim a couple of times in that first half. So it might be good that he's out of the game, but not that way. But let's be careful about those blitzes. But I'd love to see Robert Quinn get a couple of more. He's had a fantastic first half.
Without a doubt. And I wanted to ask you real quick because I have my thoughts on it. You know, you saw that the Bears, they opted to kick the short field goal on fourth down. We saw that Green Bay opted not to kick the field goal on fourth down, and they get a touchdown out of it. For me, that's a mentality that's got to change for the Chicago Bears. With it's fourth down, you're inside the 10, you're playing the Green Bay Packers, who, let's be honest, there is a pretty significant talent discrepancy here. You got to get the points when you have an opportunity to score a touchdown. You got to score a touchdown. So that's something that I think needs to change. If they're inside, if it's the third quarter and it's fourth down and you're inside the 10 or you're inside the 5, you got to go for 7 because I just don't think you're going to be able to beat Green Bay with field goals. If you're playing not to lose, you're just going to lose. We've seen this song and dance time and time again. So you have to be aggressive. Go for broke. And if you're Matt Nagy, now's the time to go for broke because you're probably not going to hang out in Chicago much longer. You're probably going to be in there about 4 or 5 more weeks, and then you're out of here on your next venture. So why not go for broke? And we see some of the ingenuity. We see the Wildcat, and if I see one more shovel pass, I might go insane. I hate that so much. But I see no upside to it. I hate it. But if you're the coaching staff, just go for it. Just try to do what you can because you're 4-8. What are you protecting? What are you protecting at this point? Not your job, not the season, not the playoffs. Go for broke and see what you got to do. We'll see what their mentality is. Let's see if they're just happy being up at halftime. I hope that's not the mentality. Hopefully they're not just happy not getting blown out by 30 points. Hopefully they're going to go for the win. But it's really hard to get a beat on this coaching staff sometimes.
It really is. And, I would have liked to have seen some of the coaches talk a little bit about the Rodgers, I own you thing and talk about what the mentality of the players were. But everybody said, it's not a big thing. It's not. Clearly, it was a big thing. Clearly, this bothered them throughout the week. Clearly, they've used it as a motivating tool today. And so now at halftime, The coaches have to use it as a motivating tool again, because over and over again, what Aaron Rodgers has done to the Chicago Bears is that he comes back. When he doesn't explode to a 2-3 touchdown lead in the first half, what he typically does then is come back in the fourth quarter with dramatic comebacks. And we've seen the Bears already get burned twice with receivers getting behind a defensive backfield. I don't understand how that can happen against Aaron Rodgers, but it does. And so we need to make sure that doesn't happen, and that the Bears, put the fear of God into Aaron Rodgers. And you can do that by hurrying him, by pressuring him, by sacking him, winning those four-man rush battles that you have. And then when you blitz, I'd love to see Roquan blitz up the middle a couple of times, because nobody can get faster into the backfield from a linebacker position than Roquan Smith. So that would be kind of cool to see. I'm hopeful for the second half. Because I always am when I'm rooting for the Chicago Bears, but I don't expect us to be smiling too much at the end of the game, to be perfectly honest.
Well, no, I even tweeted out during the first half. I'm like, I'm afraid to let myself feel right now, because I wanted to be able to just enjoy. I'm like, well, they're in this game, but when's the other shoe going to drop? We are programmed as Bears fans to say, 10 points, that's not good. That's not enough. Here it goes. Here it is. Here they go up and get it. And then we just scored it. We just scored on a huge return. Okay, what are they going to do before the half? Here it is. And then you see. So you're in just a big wired up ball of anxiety watching this team sometimes, because you want them to win, especially against the Packers. This is a huge game. You want them to win. Everyone here wants them to win. But you just don't know what's gonna, from one play to the next. You don't know what you're gonna get. You're gonna be on pins and needles until the clock hits triple zeros, and you don't know what you're gonna get out of the defense at any particular drive. You don't know what you're gonna get out of the offense. We saw that bad pick six. I know Justin Fields wants to have that one back. He did look down the receiver a little bit. I do like that he's being a lot more decisive about taking off this game. I do like that, where it's just like, I see the running lane, I'm just going to take it. And so he's not trying to go, I gotta hurry up and see if there's anybody open and then I'll take off. No, he's going off, he's hitting the hole, and he's going. So I'm hopeful that will continue.
Yeah, there was just before the half ended, when they were marching downfield to get the field goal, he did run up the middle on one play, and he had Jakeem Grant wide open on the right side. Grant ran down the field and then did an angle towards the sideline. He had him wide open, but by that time he had already committed to making the run. If he would have kept his eyes downfield a little bit more, he probably would have got Grant for a touchdown, and we would have had 4 more points instead of just the field goal on that drive. But he's growing. He's going to get better, and the second half is about to start. John, let's hopefully talk about a victory. Who knows? Maybe it'll happen.
We'll see. Well, either way, we'll be here after the game to break it all down.
All right. Talk to you later, brother. Bye-bye.